Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our session on Own Your Awkward, how to break out with perfection and speak as your authentic self. You don't have to be perfect to be a powerful speaker. Our next presenter, Rhonda, is a communication coach, performer, and founder of Simply Speech Solutions, where she empowers women to speak with confidence and authenticity. A self-identified awkward extrovert, Rhonda gives you tools to own your voice, share your story, and get what you want in life without letting the fear of speaking hold you back. Please welcome Rhonda Khan.
Raise your hand if you identify as a perfectionist. Woo! We in here. Raise your hand if you do not identify as a perfectionist. I am a recovering perfectionist. Yes. It's a word that I probably would never have used to identify with myself because I am far from perfect. I was a solid B student in school. I had undiagnosed ADHD for many years, so I'm smart, but I'm spacey. I am awkward. I am long-winded. I mess up a lot. And I thought perfectionists are those people who are always the best, and I'm never the best. But I was wrong. Perfection is not always the best. Perfection is, if I can't be the best, I won't even try. Perfection encourages you to avoid. Perfection says, I am not enough. Perfection is, I'm afraid of public speaking, so I'll turn down requests to do it and say, it's not my thing. Perfection is, the other people on my team are better speakers than me, so I'll let them take the lead. Perfection is, I won't pitch to that big client because I'm not on that level yet, so I'll just wait until then. Perfection does not exist. I hate to break it to you guys. It's a false idea that we tend to cling to, and it only makes us overwhelmed and stagnant. Because of perfection, we are not pitching ourselves to bigger and better clients. We are not authentically connecting with our clients and our community. We are not doing speaking engagements which are going to build our brands, our businesses, help us grow in our jobs. Y'all, perfection is useless. Who is ready to let it go? Come on, we gotta do it. Who is ready to let it go? So, today I am going to teach you how to break up with perfection, own who you are, and speak as your authentic self. This is an interactive session, so you will need to take some notes, and I'm gonna have you talk to me. But before you start to freak out about that, I want you to meet someone. This is 12-year-old Rhonda. Thank you. I am awkward. I am not the cool girl at all, although on this picture, you really can't tell me anything. I am on this grand piano. I got the leg up. I got these white tights, the patent leather. Press is done. And if you look very, very closely, you will see that I have rainbow-colored wireframe glasses. However, this awkward, not-so-cool girl decided that she would run for vice president of her class. The night before, I prepared my campaign materials diligently. I made my campaign poster, which consisted of markers and glitter gel pens, which was revolutionary in 1994. I prepared my campaign speech with the help of my mom, and it was going to be perfect. So the day of the election, I was ready. I had my perfect speech. I had my perfect campaign poster with the slogan, wait for it, copywriters, vote for Rhonda, she is the best. Very creative. I'm like, I'm gonna win. The teachers call for the candidates for vice president, and first up is Michael Johnson. Michael comes up to the class. He puts a speaker or radio, for those of you who are old enough to remember what a radio is, a radio, and he plays an instrumental hip-hop track. Then he begins to rap his talk, which again is revolutionary in 1994. And he's rapping, and all the kids are into it. And I'm like, this is unbelievable. And it wasn't even that good, y'all. It was one of those, my name is Mike, and I'm all right. Like, it was whack. But the kids loved it. They were all into it. They're waving their hands from side to side, and I am dying. I'm like, okay, how can I get out of this? Maybe I can go to the bathroom, and then she'll forget, or I can dip out. So I'm trying to go through all of these things, and somehow while I'm figuring out my escape plan, the teacher called my name. So I don't really remember, but I think I floated toward the front of the classroom, and I'm standing there trembling. A whole body tremor is coming through, and I'm sweaty, and everything is happening. I'm hot and I'm cold, and I stand there, and I look at the class, and a tear rolls down my eye, and I say, I may not have a rap, and I don't have any candy, but I got something to say. And the entire room of rowdy 12-year-olds is silent. You could hear a pin drop. And then I proceed with my speech. I say, y'all, I don't remember what I said. But as soon as I was done, I hear somebody say, okay, bet, Rhonda's gonna win vice president, so who's gonna win president? And I won, y'all. I won. 12-year-old Rhonda, thank you. And I didn't win because I got emotional and everybody felt sad for me. I won because I was authentic to who I was in that moment. I wasn't going to be the kid who rapped. I didn't have candy or anything like that to pass out. I stood there in all my 12-year-old awkwardness, and I gave those kids everything I had. At 12 years old, I learned a very powerful lesson, which is going to be the jump start of our lessons of today. I had to own who I was. I had to own my story. So step one for everybody is own your story. Who reads Neil Gaiman? Who knows Neil Gaiman? Hey, what's up? Yeah. All right, so this is my favorite Neil Gaiman quote. The one thing that nobody has is you. Your voice, your mind, your story, your vision. So write and draw and build and play and dance as only you can. Before you step into anybody's space, you have to know what are those unique gifts that you only can bring. Name some great speakers you know. Shout them out.
Gary V.
Gary V. Gary V. Gotta love Gary V. Who else?
Obama.
Barack Obama. Yes. Oprah. The queen. The mother. Yes. Steve Jobs. His keynote's amazing. Every time he releases an Apple product, people listen. Anybody else? Elaine Wells. Yes, I love her too. More Than Enough. That book. Great. Anybody else?
Martin Luther King.
What? Brene Brown. Yes. Martin Luther King. Yes. Adam Grant. Absolutely. So all of these speakers are remarkable. They all have very unique gifts. But if you get up here trying to be Oprah, it's not going to have the same effect. If you get up here trying to be Gary V with all that energy dropping F-bombs every other word, it's not going to have the same effect. Those are unique things that they have, that they offer. So for me, I know that I like to use my hands a lot. I am very sensitive and I'm energetic. I am awkward. I'm a mom. I like to be everybody's friend, and I really do believe I'm everybody's friend. When I step into a space, I bring all of that with me. So I'm not necessarily going to be using language that doesn't resonate with me. I'm not going to be not talking about being a mom because it's very much important. I brought up earlier that I have ADD. It very much plays a role in things I do. You're going to find a lot of typos here. Just roll with it. But that's me. But maybe that's not you. Maybe you are the serious person that likes the big words. Maybe you have dry humor. Maybe you have dark humor. Maybe you're really, really, really into soccer. Maybe you are from a certain country. Maybe you have an accent. But all of those things are your gifts, and they are special to you. So right now I want you to take out that paper that you have, and I'm going to give you 30 seconds, perfectionist, because I know you're going to try to overthink it. And write down every single thing you can think of. It could be basic stuff like I'm tall, I have a beard, I have long hair, I'm from Cleveland, all right? So 30 seconds, are we ready? Yes? And go. Okay, time, stop. I know you're like, I'm not finished. That's okay, there's no test. In that 30 seconds, you have identified some great things about yourself. Some things that maybe people didn't know or maybe everybody knew. But these are things that you're gonna take into a space with you. These are things that are just special for you. Now, you don't just keep them to yourself. Who brought up Brene Brown earlier? Yes, I love Brene. She's my friend in my head. So, you can't have bravery without vulnerability. Brene talks about this, right? It is important that people know that you are a real person. Real people want to work with real people. They want to connect with real people. I cannot tell you how many people I see that are completely relaxed in certain situations if they're with their friends and they're so authentic and doing all this stuff. But as soon as they get up in front of people, whether it's 2 or 2,000, this robot of a person comes in where it's like, this is how I'm supposed to talk in front. You know how you're here. This is how I'm supposed to be. And this is all of that, right? But that's not what people want to see. They want to know who you really are. I tell you guys stuff about me so you know me and you're more connected. You know I was an awkward kid in high school. You know I have ADHD. I want you to know that because it's very much a part of the way I prepare and plan. I'll tell you guys, last night I was working on my talk and I just couldn't focus for like 2 minutes and I had to blast some Beyonce and then I was like, got it. Because that's how my brain works, right? But I want you to know that. I want you to know that I'm a mom because it's important to me. This is my son's first week at preschool in a new class, and while I'm happy to be with y'all, I'm like, how's my baby doing? Where's he at? You know, that's in my space, right? So you gotta share those slices of life with people. And I'm not talking about oversharing, by the way, which I do that. I'm a chronic oversharer. I will tell you all my business. But boundaries are important. But what are those kernels of truth of yourself that you can share that can make you more connected with others? So now I want you to turn and talk to someone next to you. And I want you just to share this one thing that you're passionate about. And if you're having a hard time, just think about what are the 3 things that get me out of bed in the morning, all right? So you get more time for this. You get 2 minutes. I want you to turn and talk to your neighbor and share what are you passionate about. Go. make sure the other person gets a chance. And share a slice of your life, something important to you. Imagine if you didn't just do this with one other person. Imagine if you did it in front of your team, at that pitch, at that big meeting. You can add those slices of your life. I'd love to hear from some of you guys what you shared. Who wants to share something that they shared? Yes?
Okay, so I shared that I'm really into plants these days. Yes, I'm germinating avocados and mango pits that have fruit, but they are plants and I'm excited. Something I'm really excited about, maybe even a little obsessive about, and it's not in my day-to-day job responsibilities. And I have a little propagation station in the office. Like I'm bringing that part of my life into the office, but need to be careful not to be more excited about that than my actual job.
I love it. Can you tell that this is a real passion for her? Thank you for sharing. What's your name?
Julie.
Thank you, Julie, for sharing. Everybody give Julie a hand. You come over here and test out this different stage. I'm channeling my Beyonce on this one. I'm not going to drop, though. Okay, so who else? Yes, over there. See, okay.
So, I am turning 65 next week.
Woo!
I don't want to share that with the people that I work with. Steve Kirk said the last ism is ageism. Right.
Yeah.
It's true. But I'm really passionate about the next chapter, whatever it is.
Yes. Thank you. What's your name?
Molly.
Molly, give Molly a round of applause. Happy birthday. Okay, let's do one more person. Yes.
Breaking down the stigma of mental health in the workplace.
Yeah.
Yes. What's your name?
Ray.
Ray. Thank you, Ray. Thank you. That's so important everywhere. All right. I want to hear one more. I'm just excited. Who got one more? I knew there was one. Yes.
Passionate about literature and reading.
Yeah.
My life's everybody.
Yay! Passionate about literature reading. Are you a writer?
No, well, kind of.
Yeah, you are. I knew it. Okay, awesome, guys. How much more connected do you feel right now than when you felt when we first started? Way more. Because we're vulnerable. We're sharing different things. And we're not telling all our business, but we're telling the things that are important to us. So take this slice of life, take these things into these meetings, into these conversations with people, into these presentations, no matter who's in that space. All right. So now that we have owned through who we are, we've given a little bit of vulnerability, let's talk about the F word. What's the F word?
Fear?
Hey! Who's red? Look at this. Okay, let's embrace fear. I absolutely love talking about fear. Who gets anxiety when they speak in front of, look, she hands up right finished. Who gets anxiety when they speak in front of people? Yes. Even the most seasoned speakers get anxiety when they speak. I love getting a new client, and the new client's like, okay, Rhonda, I want to be able to speak in front of people and never be afraid. And I'm like, girl, I know we all want that, but I hate to break it to you. The fear is always going to be there. It's always going to show up. A little bit of anxiety is always going to show up. And guys, what happens when you try to push the anxiety away? Worse. It gets worse. You get more anxious. It becomes this big monster. So the best thing to do, instead of trying to push it away, instead of trying to act like it's not going to exist, is embrace it. So to do that, you have to greet your anxiety. You have to say, hello, I see you. I know what you're doing. I see it. First, sometimes it starts off with the mental symptoms of anxiety, right? That's our negative self-talk, that voice that shows up in all of our heads that says, you're not good enough. You don't belong up here speaking in front of these people. Nobody really cares what you have to say. This is mediocre. This voice will always show up. I had a teacher tell me when I was doing my acting training, she would call them parrots. And they'd be like, you're stupid. Like they just show up just like that. These parrots, these gremlins, right? The voice will come, but you have to create an army to fight against it. I call it an affirmation army. And I know for some of you who are afraid of the woo, they're like, affirmations, yeah, girl. But no, this really works. And you probably already know the triggers of the things that are going to come up. You're probably already going to know those insecurities like, oh, I'm going to mess up on this. Oh, they think I'm silly. They think I'm too young. They think whatever it is that they think, you have to back it up with the fact. Because you know that's a feeling that's coming and you know it's not true. You have to back it up with the fact. People, if you say something like, people won't care what I have to say, you back it up with, my words are valuable and people will listen. If you hear something like, this is mediocre, I've worked hard on this and I know my work is important. And let's be honest, the higher you get to something or the closer you get to that thing that you want, the higher the level, the more sinister and creative that voice is. I will not tell y'all all the things that were going through my head when I was doing my hair. And I was like, lies, because it will constantly show up for you, right? So you have to fight it. I thought about this earlier too. As a kid, and I don't know if this was your experience, but my mom would have a conversation with me before we stepped into a store. When I was a little kid, yep, you're like, yep, I know that conversation. She'd be like, great. She would take me close. Don't touch nothing. Don't look at nothing. Nope, you cannot have candy. And this is the and then we would go into the store, and I'm like, she knows I'm gonna be there, but she's in charge. And this is what you have to tell your fear. I know you're gonna be there, but I'm in charge. All right. Now, what about those physical symptoms of anxiety? Right? What are some of those things that come up? Nausea. Ooh.
Sweaty hands.
Sweaty hands. Let me check my hands right now. Yes, sweaty. What else? Wait. Shaky voice. I heard something else about twitching. Shaking. What else? Forgetting everything. Just total white. What else? Crying. Who said crying? You're my friend. Because I was getting my life together when she did this introduction. I was like, get it together. Okay. What? Heart pounding. I'm going to come over here and work this stage. Heart pounding. Yes, all of those things. Well, just like those parrots, just like that voice that's going to come, so are those physical symptoms of anxiety. And there are a lot of things you can do, even no matter how much you practice, no matter how much you have gotten your mind right. What's happening is when that physical stuff happens, your nervous system has run amok. It's a natural thing about our bodies that prevent us from doing the scary thing. It's a protection. So all the alarms are happening, and you just have to just turn off the alarm, put the code in, and get back in charge, right? The best way to get back into your body is to do something called square breathing. Who knows square breathing? Anybody? Yes, a couple people know square breathing. A lot of people say for you to breathe deeply, take deep breaths. That's not enough, because you can take deep, fast breaths and go, and then hyperventilate even further. But what square breathing is to breathe in for 4 seconds, hold, breathe out for 4 seconds, and hold. All right? I want everybody to try it together. First, take your pictures real quick. Get your screenshot on. And then what I want you to do is prepare for square breathing. I will count you off, and you're going to inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Ready? Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. Good. We're going to do it one more time. I'm seeing a lot of closed mouths. You're going to exhale through your mouth. Inhale through your nose. Ready? Breathe in. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4, and hold. 2, 3, 4. How do you feel? Better. Tell me more about that. Relaxed. Relaxed. Yeah. Anybody else? A little more present. Tell me your name one more time. Molly. Yes.
I was actually feeling kind of stressed when we had to hold. I felt
Like, what's she gonna tell me? No, totally understand, and that is a response that I have gotten before, because you're used to not breathing in a certain way. And what this is not how you breathe all the time, but a specific strategy to get you back in. And so the hold is only for 4 seconds, so you don't have to panic. And it probably is going to take you to release a little bit, just a little bit of control. But know that usually when you do it, I'm going to be counting you off. You have the choice. So that's really what it's going to take, all right? When you do square breathing, you're completely getting back into your body, right, Molly? You're present. You're much more present, and you're there. Yeah, the fear is going to be there, but I promise you, you're probably shaking a bit less. You're probably able to remember 2, 3 more words and get right back to the sentence that you forgot. You're probably going to stop feeling that level of nausea because you're remembering exactly where your feet are planted and where your head is. If anything, I want you guys to practice this every day. And I say every day because you need to be able to pull it out of your back pocket when you get to those high-stakes situations. You need to be able to step into these situations and be like, oh, I'm figuring out square breathing. And so make it a daily practice, and I recommend 2 cycles, 4 is even better. All right, let me get back to the center stage. For step 3, now that we have owned who we are, now that we have embraced some fear, we got to figure out who we're talking to and why we're talking. So the next step is to focus on your audience. A lot of people get up in front of people and they're like, I got to do a good job, I got to kill it, I got to get all this work, Your job is not to impress those people. Your job is to not do a good job. Your job is to completely serve your audience. And the way you do it is through intention. Intention is a word we're using a lot. What is your intention? How intentional are we being? What's our intention of this meeting? What's our intention of this project? But for communication, I feel like we got to break that down a little bit, right? So for communication, I will say, if your content is the what, your intention is the why. If your content is the what, your intention is the why. So the way you develop your intention is through this nifty trick I created, the intention triangle. All right? The intention triangle is divided into objective, stakes, and action. The objective, what do I want my audience to do or feel? What do I want them to do or feel? This should be about them and not you. Sometimes people are like, yeah, I want them to clap for me. I want them to buy my stuff. Like, I want them to sign up for my programs. Sure, great. But for them, what do you want for them? Do you want them to feel comfortable with you? Do you want them to, or comfortable in their lives? Do you want them to increase their sales by 50%? Do you want them to do a better job with their health. What are the things that you want for them? Stakes, what will happen if it doesn't get done? This is what is going to keep you working for your objective. And again, this is about them and not you. If they don't, if they don't feel comfortable, they're not going to work with me. Sure. But what will happen if they don't increase their sales by 50%? Probably they're not going to make the money they need to make. Probably they might have difficulties with their business. With their boss, whatever it is. What if they don't take care of their health? Well, they can be at risk for severe diseases and different things. What will happen if it doesn't get done? And I want to tell you, the higher the stakes, the more you're going to fight for that objective. Action is where the magic happens. And this is not necessarily with your content, like, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm do that. What is the active verb that you are going to emulate, that you are going to use to get this objective across? So you're going to pick an active verb. Here's an example of verbs that I really like. There are a bunch of them. You can thesaurus your way through them to a lot of different things. But are you going to shock them? Are you going to awaken? Are you going to outrage, hypnotize, galvanize, terrify, inspire, enchant, create? Whatever it is, what action are you going to take? So how will we put this into motion? Let's practice. Y'all have been talking about sales and marketing all week. So we'll talk about something a lot more simple, smoking. So regardless of if we do it or not, the research says that it may not be so great for us, right? Smoking cigarettes. So let's say someone asked you to deliver a talk to get the audience to stop smoking cigarettes. So what would be your objective? Simple. Huh? Well, that would be your, she got a good action. She's ready to, okay. We're going to get there. I'm going to hold that, put a pin in that. So your objective, again, is what do you want them to feel? So maybe you want them to feel terrified, but let's keep it simple. I want my audience to stop smoking cigarettes. It could be that simple. Or I want my audience to throw their cigarettes away. That could be even more direct. You're probably going to fight for that objective in a different way. Your stakes are what will happen if it doesn't get done. So what happens when people don't stop smoking cigarettes? What happens? High stakes. High stakes. Die. What else? Cancer, COPD. Teeth rotting. What else? Smell, yes.
Kind of ruins their relationships.
It could ruin relationships. It has, yeah. Okay. Waste money. Cigarettes are expensive. They can be. They can add up. All right? There's so many different stakes that we can choose depending on what you want to do. It's your choice. Let's just go with a simple one. They will be seriously ill. Fill in cancer, COPD, all of those things. Let's pick that one. So you know why. You know the objective. You know the stakes. Now, what action can you take? You can go a lot of ways. Tell me your name. Diane. So Diane says terrify. So if Diane wants to terrify, maybe she's coming from the angle of this is what your lungs are going to look like in 10 years. This is what's going to happen to your bone structure. All of those kinds of things, right? Or you could inspire and you could say, in 6 months, if you stop smoking cigarettes, you could run a marathon. You could be your kid's soccer coach. Or you could do something else. You could shame. You could say, look what this secondhand smoke is doing to your family. Look what this secondhand smoke is doing to your budget. Look what you're spending your money on, right? All of those things really effective in their different angles. You have all that choice. So while we're doing all this work, I have a question for you guys. Do you have time to worry about what people got to say about you? No? Do you have time to worry about if you're saying the right word or the wrong word? Y'all don't hear me. No. Do you have time to worry about how nervous you are? No, because you're up there to do some work. And you're up there to impact your audience. That's what it's really about. This is what it would look like. I want my audience to stop smoking cigarettes. Objective. Stakes, if they don't stop smoking, they will be seriously ill. Action, let's choose inspire. Let's keep it light for today. All right? So that's how it works. You can have an intention triangle for every conversation you want, those difficult conversations. You can have it for a pitch and meeting and all of that, and you can verbalize it before you go in. You can say, I want my audience to stop smoking cigarettes. If they don't stop smoking cigarettes, they'll be seriously ill, so I'm going to inspire them. And go. It instantly launches you there. So we've learned a lot so far, and there is one more step, but I want to leave a teensy bit of time for questions. All right? So who has some questions for me? No questions. Y'all got it all? That's exciting. Oh, wait, I'm missing somebody. Sorry. Where's the hand? Oh, sorry. Hey.
How are you?
Okay, good.
What steps did you take to get over your fear of public speaking?
Great question. Man, it took a lot of deliberate steps of me putting myself in scary situations and working through the fear, doing it just like 12-year-old Rhonda, through trembling and fear and saying like, I belong, this is really scary, but I'm gonna try this. There was a situation where I think in college, where you get around and you have these intense discussions about society and culture, and I had a big comment and I would be so nervous to discuss in front of people, and I remember shaking as I raised my hand and made that comment, but it was such a turning point for me because I spoke in front of a lot of people that I was intimidated by, but I did it and I saw the value in what I said and the impact. And so the more I saw that, the more I'm like, I gotta keep doing this, I gotta move through that fear. That was important to me. Another question.
If you do make a mistake while you're speaking, or there's a tip on the side or something like that, how have you moved past that to keep the presentation going?
How have I moved past mistakes? Either if it's a mistake that needs to be acknowledged, if it's going to affect what I'm saying, then I will say, hey, oh, that's not right. Let me actually say what I'm saying. But it's who does improv in here? Does anybody do improv or have done? So you know the theory of yes and. So what I would do is yes and. They're like, oh, actually I mean Christians. So blah blah blah. And then I don't know what I'm talking about. But that would be a way that I would just call it out. Have fun with it and keep going. I wouldn't spend too much time on it, but I would just acknowledge it and move forward for the intention of clarity for my audience so they get it. I have time for 2 more questions. Yes?
When you're really short of time, you've got like a 15 or 20-minute speech to do, and you want to pack and deliver a lot of value, but there's always a balance between too much and too little and covering everything. What's your take on that?
Less is more. Less is more. Focus on what's the most important thing. Use the triangle and think about the most important thing that's going to get that objective across. Because sometimes if you give people too much information, it just takes too much to process. And again, I'm long-winded. I would talk all day, but I realize that people it takes people time to get it. So that's what I would do. Another question.
Yeah, you've been very good at interjecting humor in your speech today. So I'm interested to know if you have any tips or tricks about adding some humor into the speech to kind of get the audience relaxed and focused and listening.
Great question. So 2 things. One thing is, if you're not used to being funny, whatever that means to you, don't try to be more funny because it might backfire. And for me, my humor is not to be funny. I'm sharing slices of life. I'm being vulnerable with you guys, and I think it's pretty funny, and I guess you do too. So that's really what it is. So it's all behind intention. So I think that if it's, at the end of the day, it's about vulnerability, and if there are funny moments, they will come up naturally.
Sure. When I speak, especially in front of larger groups, I feel like I have to make the choice of either focusing on being present and really engaging with the audience, versus focusing on making sure I don't speak too quickly, I don't use filler words, and I don't really do a good job of one if I'm focusing on the other. And I was wondering if you had any sort of tactical strategies for working on that, because that's something that's plagued me for years.
That's important. So you're feeling like you're trapped between fixing all of those different issues and really being present. So practice is important. Practice is important. I think verbal fillers is something that takes time to work through outside of when you're talking. And so often with verbal fillers, a general note, I don't think there's anything wrong with verbal fillers. Are you conscious of how much you're using them? Are you using every other word? Are you saying like every other word? The best thing to do is pause and give yourself time. Pausing is so helpful, and you don't have to fill the space. So I would practice pausing. And then also, by the time you get into the room, the only thing that's important is what? Yeah. So even if you do those fillers, as long as you're present with them and as long as you're delivering the content, you're good to go. Okay. 2 more. For real. Okay.
How much time do you give yourself to practice before you have speech?
It varies. It varies on the talk. It varies on the audience and how new the content is. Sometimes it takes me, if I'm developing something new, it might take a couple weeks, a couple months. If it's something that I haven't done in a while, I may give myself a couple of rehearsals days beforehand to sharpen up on it.
As you get promoted and you start having to speak to higher and higher audiences, like executives or board members, is it still possible to be authentic?
What am I going to say? Yes. That's a very, very good question, because I think a lot of people feel like that when you're leveling up. That's what I was talking about before. I have to be this whole other person. But that manager, that executive wants to see you. They want to know you. So you bring your authentic self. That doesn't mean don't do your work. That doesn't mean not have a high standard. Perfectionism is not the same as having high standards for yourself. But you still be 100% yourself, because that's why you're leveling up. That's why they picked you, because they saw that. One more question, because I want to give us time.
So sometimes when you practice, timing works out perfectly and it goes well, no matter how many times you practice, and then you get in front of people and you're either talking too fast or too slow, and the timing's not going to work anymore for what you have said for the speech. So how do you kind of work with that to make sure you still get through everything and get all the content?
It's a tough thing. It takes some practice. So you're saying you practiced already. You know you made time, but when you get there, the timing didn't work right. And that happens sometimes, because when we get in the actual space, you might breathe a little more, people might interject. What I would say is try your best to focus on the most important information, and if there's something that you can skip past and maybe check in with people later about, I would do that. Yeah, but square breathing will get you grounded and keep you on time, because you're not probably going to talk fast because of nerves. Okay, guys, I would love to answer some questions after, but I want to give you your last step. It's get to work. Get to work. I don't get up here for people to be like, great, I got some nuggets and I'm gone. I really want you to use these things. You can start doing this right away as soon as you leave these rooms. If you have people that you want to meet up and talk with, if there's a conversation you need to have at work, if you have a presentation, a pitch coming up, what you can do, what your homework is to ask yourself these 3 questions. Number 1, what do I need to own about my story? Number 2, how will I move through fear? Number 3, what is my intention? Okay. Guys, we are friends now. I want to thank you for being such an amazing, present, engaged audience. I really appreciate you. Here is where you can find me. You can also text speech to this number if you want some quick updates. I would love to hear how these strategies are working in your everyday life. Thank you for being amazing.